beautiful tonight.
Yeah.
Leslie, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers. John, by 1957, set up his own band called the Quarrymen, and on the 6th of July 1957, I'm going to check the date, it's 2 days ago, John Lennon and the Quarrymen had their most historical gig in this area of Liverpool 61 years ago and 2 days. That's how long ago it was, since the Walton Village Fete took place, in which John Lennon was drunk on the day, 16 years of age, forgetting the words to all the songs that he was singing. Of course, what happened was that in the audience on the day was a young man watching him. His name was Paul McCartney, and Paul had never seen John Lennon before in his life. He watched John Lennon perform drunk while on stage, but then afterwards they all went into St. Peter's Church Hall, and that includes Paul McCartney when he was first introduced to John at St. Peter's Church Hall at the Walton Village Fete on July the 6th, 1957. This area that we're in right now is one of the nicest villages in the northwest of England, as voted in recent years, but it is also the birthplace of the Beatles. The first day that Lennon and McCartney met each other was on your right hand side, just there, guys. So just down that little pathway is where the Quarrymen were to walk, and they were to be introduced to each other for the first ever time, Lennon and McCartney. John Lennon said, "What did you think of that, mate?" And Paul McCartney said it wasn't too bad, being a little bit cheeky to John. And John said, "Well, do you think you can do any better?" And all of a sudden somebody gave Paul a guitar. Paul, in front of all of the lads in the room, tuned up the guitar. It impressed them all, because not a single one of them knew how to tune up their own guitars, including John Lennon. So Paul tuned it up, and the second he had tuned up this right-handed guitar, he turned it upside down because he was left-handed. And on an upside-down guitar, he played a song called 20 Flight Rock by Eddie Cochran, and it changed the course of history. John Lennon was blown away with how good Paul McCartney was, and a couple of months later, Paul would have his first gig with the Quarrymen. The rest, as they say, is history. The birthplace of the Beatles, where John Rigby, and underneath John Rigby it says, "Dearly beloved wife, Eleanor Rigby." The song Eleanor Rigby that the Beatles released as a great single in 1967, which transformed popular music, was not about the lady in that grave. It's a coincidence that that grave was there on the day that the lads first met each other, and they had no idea it was there. They would then eventually write a song about a fictitious woman called Eleanor Rigby, and it just so happens by blind chance there's a gravestone to the same woman inside St. Peter's Church. Wink wink. Anyway, not allowed to encourage you, am I? Now, I will say to us all, okay, these gates in 1967, much like the Penny Lane street signs becoming the most robbed items in Liverpool, these became the most vandalised items in Liverpool. People would write their names on them, which, to be honest, I view as acceptable. There is odds and debates about it, but it did get overboard, of course. People would chip bits away from the gates. They would throw paint all over the gates. It got out of hand. Eventually the gates were too rickety and got taken down. We sourced the family who made the originals and made exact replicas of the gates from 1967. Not relevant to the story anyway, because John Lennon never walked through them. He would climb over the back wall of Strawberry Field to trespass. But here it is, our third layover stop, the iconic gates of Strawberry Field.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. The National Trust bus has just moved off, so on your left hand side coming up is number 251 Menlove Avenue, and it's where John Lennon lived from the age of 5 until the age of 23. So there is a English Heritage blue plaque on the front of this property. It is the only property that you will see with an English Heritage blue plaque on the front of it. That's because John Lennon's died, well, been dead for over 20 years I should say. It's one of the particular elements of criteria that you need to meet to get an English Heritage blue plaque. Still be famous after 20 years of passing away. Written lyrics that I saw her standing there. I saw her standing there one after 909. When I'm 64, written inside this property, not released until 1967, to coincide with Paul's father's birthday, of course. The last time When I'm 64 was played inside this house, does anyone know? 1 month ago, of course. 1 month ago, Paul McCartney played When I'm 64 inside this house, didn't he? Well, he played in the bog, didn't he, with his family. Anyone who sees the video, make sure you don't win one. Now, this house has been restored back into its condition. The National Trust estimates up 100 Beatles songs that were written here, or 100 Lennon McCartney songs, but we don't know a full list of them. That's the truth of it. Okay? We don't know a full list because there's also contributions as well. Songs like She Loves You, for example, written on tour but brought back to be presented to Jim. And Paul and John would go, what did you think of this? And Jim would say, well, it's a good song and all, but do you not think there's enough Americanisms in the world? It should be She Loves You, yes, yes, yes. Not She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or John and Paul stopped listening to Jim after that one. But, as I say, make sure you all get your pictures, guys, because you can see it's a very busy place. People all want pictures of it. About 2 months ago, for me it gets very samey. I've brought people to this house for ages, so of course, for me, it starts feeling very normal. But something changed my view of it, and it was reading the Rolling Stone article, Top 100 Greatest Beatles Songs. It was Elvis Costello, so we all wish him well, he's currently dancing before he was himself as. But he wrote the Rolling Stone's Top 100 Greatest Beatles Songs, number 1, always comes out A Day in the Life. You may remember Paul McCartney's contribution. I woke up, gone out to bed, dragged a comb across my head, made his way downstairs, grabbed his coat, got his hat, made the bus in seconds flat. This bus stop, top end of the road, that he'd get the 86 bus to Penny Lane from each and every day. Paul McCartney's journey was waking up in that bedroom, leaving that front door, and then making his way up to the bus stop in seconds flat. I'm not saying that we should make it in seconds flat, but we are going to head back up there in a second. Make our way up once we've got our pictures, guys, but remember, it was a day.
Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her.
The Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. Each and every year, Paul McCartney comes back and presents the graduation ceremony to his own students in his own city, in his own college. What a guy Paul McCartney is. He's done so much for our city. We're very, very grateful for him. For my friends from Singapore, I know you're on the bus here. John Lennon would spend most of his time down this little small street on your left in a little grade 2 listed pub called The Crack. Okay, that's where John Lennon would spend most of his time. I know you want the pub crawl later on, so I thought I'd give you that one. One of the most authentic Beatles pubs in. She was locked up and then she was shipped off to the colonies in Botany Bay, Australia. We have got some Australians on board, haven't we? Yeah, we've got loads of you. That was our gift to you, Maggie, mate. You give us Kylie Minogue, we give you Maggie, mate. That was our gift to you guys. Decent trade, that was At least you know that, guys, if it ever pops up the pub quiz, the first female sent off to Botany Bay, Australia. Maggie, mate. The only song to directly reference Liverpool in the lyrics as well from the Beatles. Lime Street Station's on your right hand side, one of the world's first ever purpose-built passenger railway terminus. On your left hand side is St George's Hall, said to be one of the